Hello, everybody. Welcome back to JJPB. You know it is JJ with you once again. Today we're getting started a little bit early. I make sure that I'm going to put something up on Discord so that way everybody knows I'm live. So we're going to go ahead and just say, I'm live on YouTube. That way everybody knows I'm live on YouTube. There we go. Well, alrighty. Now that I did that, I should have did that about 5 minutes ago, but since we're starting early, there's a few things I want to talk about that's happened through the week. So that way we can get started with everything going on. Let's go to the action screen and see what I got cooking. Okay, we're on the action screen here. We're just going to go right through it. And hopefully everybody that comes in, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live stream. Colorful Shadow DDR5. Let's see, Colorful Shadow DDR5. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and get a bigger mouse pointer. Yep, there we go. There, now we got a bigger mouse pointer. So that way y'all can say that I got a bigger mouse pointer. Hello, machine. Good to see you. Good to see ya. Let's see. Colorful Shadow DDR5 right here. Colorful Shadow DDR5. CUDA memory hits 10,000 microtransfers speed over 10K speed possible on Z890 motherboards. That's a little bit interesting. Look at what it, this is just an idea of what it looks like. They're not, I don't think they're out yet, but I think what they're talking about, is going to be nuts, especially the motherboards that are going to be on the 890 are going to be starting at around $200. $200. But it's going to be reaching, let's see, it's going to be hitting the DRAM frequency, reaching 5,003 megahertz, or 1,000 micro, or 10,000 microtransfers data transfer speed. Okay, let's go ahead and blow this up a little bit so y'all can see this. This looks like the F clock is at 5,000.3 megahertz. So you times that by 2, that's giving it 10,000.6 megahertz. But the command rate's going to be at 2T, so it's got a lot of clock cycles too. Right here, the TRAS, it looks like it's a lot. The CAS latency is going to be 46. The CL46. That's nuts. Wow. It says DDR5 right here, the bandwidth. DDR5 9600. And it's 4,800 megahertz. Looks like they have it, XMP on. So that it clocks it up to the 5,000.3 megahertz. But at least the F clock is above 2,000. But let me tell you, from what the testing is that they did, let me go over here. and looks like they're only getting 8,000 microtransfers per second. This is according to Hardware Unboxed. Well, videocards.com, according to them, saying that the Ryzen 7 9800X3D processor running on Asus ROG Crosshair 870E Hero motherboard with a 504 BIOS. The image shows supporting 32 gigabytes of DDR5, 16 gigabytes per module at 8800 microtransfers. So basically 8,000 specs with the CL38 right here. Let's see if I can blow this picture up. No, I can't blow this picture up. But that seems nuts. That really does. I mean, but looking at the voltage was at 1.54 volts. That's a lot on RAM. You know, just in my opinion, that's kind of a lot on RAM. Looking at the prices of motherboards, you know, going all the way down to the ASRock 870 Pro for $200. That's about the cheapest you're going to see on motherboards when it comes to the 800 series. Unless they come out with the B series. We're all waiting on the B850 motherboards, or the B850E, or the B850As. Machine says, why can't AMD boards do that speed? Well, the problem is that they're not designed just yet to get to that speed. I was watching the video on Hardware Unboxed. He tried it at 8,000 microtransfers, did not work. Or at the 8800 microtransfers, did not work. He tested a few motherboards. I think it was like 21 different motherboards in the 800 series. The most he was able to get it to work was at 7,400 microtransfers. Now, it might be the more expensive motherboards that you're able to get up to the 8,000 and 10,000, but I think that's more Intel up to that 8 to 10,000 than it is AMD. AMD seems like it doesn't want to go up past 8,000 megahertz. Also, does the RAM get hot when the speeds go up? No, actually, that I can account for when I overclocked my RAM, but I didn't overclock the voltage. I kept the voltage at 1.35 volts, so it didn't put any more heat and stress on the RAM, and clocked it up to its max, which it went all the way up to from 3,200 megahertz to 3,600 megahertz. But it was on the edge of doing a freak out at 3,600 megahertz, so I backed it off to 3,599 megahertz, and it went stable. So, most of your RAMs out there now these days, you can bump it up, the PPT, up to, what is it? I think it's called the PPT, that you can bump it up 400 megahertz on any style RAM. See, now like your 3,600 megahertz RAM, you can bump it up to 4,000 megahertz, just to say. But your, this new CU DIMM that's coming out, it's going to be a little bit different than the actual normal DDR5 because they're putting a controller chip built onto the RAM itself, giving it more stability and control. So, that way you can clock it up a little bit higher without having the repercussion of losing out on speed. As long as you don't adjust the max power settings for, the voltage settings for that RAM, you should be fine. Always look at, when you buy RAM, before you buy the RAM, find out its maximum voltage before you buy it. So this way, the RAM itself will run smoothly on your motherboard, and make sure that your motherboard can handle that certain voltage. Because you got to remember, some stuff comes through the VRMs. Your VRMs. Voltage regulating modules. So, but they did say they're going to have a new type of regulating module for the 800 series motherboards that is kind of going to steer you away from the 600 series motherboards, because there's more balance. That's with Intel, but with AMD it's a little bit different. The 800 series motherboards for AMD are not reaching to the expectations of 10,000 mega transfers per second, which that's got a lot of people upset, especially when you're paying $300 to $400. Like this motherboard right here, the 870 Tai Chi from ASRock. It doesn't have that certain type of regulation that's going to allow it to go past 8,000 megahertz or 8,000 microtransfers. So that's a little bit of an issue when you're trying to get more speed out of your system RAM, and you can't. See, the thing is why everybody has to understand the bottlenecking process. Okay? Bottlenecking process starts with the amount of switching back and forth from your system RAM to your CPU processor. If it's not high enough and you can't get, split second transfers, that becomes a problem, and then it starts bottlenecking your GPU, and then slows things down because your RAM can't keep up. Now, the reason why I overclocked my system RAM was to bring up just a little bit and give it the CPU processor a little bit more push when it comes to graphics for the graphics card. So the graphics card and the CPU are balanced, as well as the system RAM being all balanced into one package. But it's going to be, how much is 8,000 microtransfer RAM? Let's go ahead and just go to Amazon, and let's see. We'll find out. Well, looking at it, on an average, I would say around $200. Machine, I would say about around $200. So that's 32 gigabytes of 8,000 MT RAM. Looks like it's selling a lot. A lot of people are buying it out. Um, you know, you got 48 gigabytes. You got, you know, the G Skill Trident Z5, 260. You got the Patriot Viper Extreme 5 for $148. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. It's a desktop gaming memory kit. That's not too bad. That's about the lowest I've seen so far. This is 3600. See, that's, I mean, 2 sticks. I mean, this is more or less for DDR4. But hell, that's not too bad for 3600 CL18. I might think about it myself for my computer. They got, right here, they got the Viper Extreme 5, 8200 microtransfers, CL38, 32 gigabytes for $137. That's the cheapest I've seen so far, $137. This is on Amazon, by the way. So we'll take and we'll go down and we'll see what we can find. I mean, they got a 32 gigabyte kit that's DDR5, 6000 megahertz for $97. Let's see. No. Wow. So I don't think so. Nope. Yeah, that's, I mean, that 8200 kit might be your best bet to go with. You know, we'll go back up to it. You got this one right here. You know, it's 48 gigabytes. That might be a better deal for 20 more bucks because that's 32 gigabytes. This is 48 gigabytes. 8,000 microtransfers at CL38 UDIM. Let's see what this is. So, I mean, it's 48 gigabytes. They get different size kits, but that's 8,000 microtransfers a second for 200 bucks. So, that's not too bad of a deal. That's not too bad of a deal. Or you can get this one right here. It's 8,200 microtransfers at CL38. They're both CL38s. This one right here, wow. I mean, for the speed, I think I would take a little bit of the loss on how much, the size of it, just for that 8,200 microtransfers for 137 bucks. That's not a bad deal at all. They got different size kits, you know. I mean, they got a different size kit here. They got the 48s. So it's two 16 gigabyte 8,000 microtransfer kits, limited lifetime warranty, XMP 3.0 clock profile, on-die ECC. Whoa, that's not bad. So, yeah, that's not too bad. No, RGB don't make it faster, bro. Actually, it takes away from the speed if you look at it. So, but look, even with the motherboard you got right now, you could even buy a kit like this, lower the clocks to bring it up to the max speed of your motherboard, and still rock with your 7700X. Until, later on down the road, you decide to get yourself an 800 series motherboard that's going to handle 8200 microtransfers. At least you're ahead of the game. I mean, what I would do if I had the 7700X, I would, and this is just me, my opinion, I would rock it with this right here. This would have enough speed to bring your motherboard up to at least 7400 microtransfers. If you clock it out right, it could go higher. You never know. Some motherboards will handle up to the 8000 mark. The only thing that would probably be different would be the F clock, knowing how much the F clock would handle. But with the new 800 series motherboards, it looks like the F clock can handle 5,000 microtransfers instead of the 600 series where it only handles up to the 2,000 microtransfers. That makes a big difference when you're buying your RAM, is so that way you know what you can clock it to. Or you can use the Expo and let the Expo clock it up to whatever. And, it'll clock it up to the safe amount, but still give you full speed. So you could do that too. There's a lot of things you can do with an 8000 kit. That's for sure. So, now that we looked at the 8000 kit, even Crucial is... See, this is a new type of kit that the QDIM is that new type of kit because it's showing you the clock driver right here. There's a new clock driver that's built onto the QDIM kit that makes a big difference. So this says this style memory, also known as unbuffered dual inline memory, which was released alongside the clock small outline inline memory modules, were made for laptops. But now Crucial has announced the next gen DDR5 QDIM and C-SODIMM memory modules are shipped in volume. We can expect far as higher speeds than what Micron and Crucial have announced today, with QDIM memory modules expected to skyrocket towards 8,000 microtransfers or even 9,000 microtransfers, with some companies already testing that. They're working on DDR5 QDIM memory modules with a blistering 10,000 microtransfers that are launching in 2025. So, wow. And to bring on that note, we'll talk about the 9800X3D, which this is referencing to with the according to WCCF Tech, the 9800X3D is leveraging ASUS with the new NitroPath DRAM technology, available on the 800 series motherboards for both AMD and Intel. This technology improves circuit path, enhanced the stability of current and signaling in DRAM slots, which can increase frequency support by 400 microtransfers. The AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D is now expected to launch next week just the day after Intel officially releases its Core Ultra 200KS or 200K series. So, that's a mouthful. You have your board recommends on Discord. Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll look at it. Okay, we'll look at it. But do remember, just because it recommends that doesn't mean it's that. That's where some people get it confused. Oh, man. I got it. Let me go on here. Let me catch everything up. I got to catch everything up real quick. Okay, looking at this machine from what you put, dual channel DDR5 memory. Supports DDR5 non-ECC unbuffered memory up to 6200 plus overclock. Okay, that doesn't mean that it can't go beyond that. Especially if you do a BIOS update. They could have a BIOS update that pulls you past or up to the 8,000 microtransfers on an overclock. So, do keep that in mind when I'm telling you this. Okay? Just to let you know that. So, let's move on from this and see what else. The new 870E motherboard chipset diagrams and all that, let's see where we're at. We got that one, we got that one, we got that one, we got that one. No. Let's get rid of this. 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 Hold on. We're getting rid of some of this. Okay. Now, let's look at the family chipset. This looks like it's going to be for yeah, this looks like it's going to be for AMD. I don't know. Truthfully, I'm going to say like this. I'm going to take and I'm going to pass on this. I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm going to pass on these motherboards. It is a simple fact that Hardware Unbox already did a video on these new motherboards, and basically they only can go up to 7,400 microtransfers. So, and he was using an 8,000 microtransfer kit, and he had to reduce the amount of speed on the RAM in order for the CPU and the system RAM become stable. So I'm not really going to worry about that right now. Okay, we're going to minimize this. Okay, so let's go back to the main screen. Oh, and you're welcome, machine. Yeah, I would do your research, but the thing is, I'm looking at And I know that, make sure y'all got your drink and snacks, by the way. I know they say that your motherboard can only handle so much before you got to move up into a better slotted motherboard. But the thing is this: there are some motherboards that are in the 600 series that can handle up to 8,000 microtransfers. Specific. These new motherboards that come out should be able to handle up to an overclock of 10,000 microtransfers. But they don't. Okay, well, go ahead and mention your question, bro. I'm listening. Well, I'm watching your questions, but go ahead. And it's not a noob question. The hell? Let's see. We're burning at 44 Celsius on the processor. Not bad. I notice a difference between 5200 microtransfers per second and 8,000 microtransfers per second. Where would I see the difference? The speed of the pages opening, like when you do your startup for your games, they would start up a little bit faster. You're on the internet. If you're scrolling through the internet, the pages would load faster. It would give you a better loading phase with having more speed, because basically there's a difference between the graphics and the data. You're using more data, so the processor is keeping up with the data support. It helps with the graphics and everything else. Do remember that, your GPU system, the GPU RAM isn't all the RAM that is used through the system. Your system RAM is used, for going back and forth from different programming and stuff like that. There's still the opening parts. There's many things that your processor still does in the background to support your GPU with the system RAM. So, like different programs running in the background, it helps support with that. Programs running in the foreground help support with that. It's still got a lot of support. And with, averaging the various speed, making the speed faster, gives your processor the time to access the data faster, instead of it having to wait and then, until one program finishes and then starts the next. Basically, it switches in and out a little bit faster. So even with, let's say, 10,000 microtransfers RAM, the VRAM will still be faster, right? Yeah, it will. Understand this: the VRAM on your GPU doesn't change. Okay? That's still used for textures and everything else, while your CPU is used for the compiling and sorting of data and everything else in order to push that picture to your GPU. So it still has to sort it and then send it. but it takes less time if it has more of a speed to go back and forth. Because remember, on your CPU, it's taking the data, it's got to go through your RAM, go back to your CPU, then push to your GPU. So if that interaction is faster, going from your CPU to your system RAM and back, then it's gonna allow, higher clocks, and it's gonna run everything more efficient and faster. It's basically like smoothing things out for you. Just makes it smoother. Instead of, you having to wait for a page to open up and wait and wait and wait, there's usually maybe a 0.2 second delay. This kind of feathers out the 2 second delay, so it's unnoticeable. You want higher speeds on your RAM, because if the higher speeds you get on your RAM, the better your processor is going to give you at its 100%. Even if you see your processor running at 30%, out of that 30%, it's still giving you 100% of that 30%. So it's still running efficiently. But when it stops running efficiently is when you take and put slower RAM, system RAM, in your computer and expect your CPU to keep up. And that's where you create what they call a bottleneck. So, Hello, MTBK. Good to see you. Good to see you. Did you hear about the new Intel GPUs? Yes, I did. Intel's having a difficult time finding board partners. Well, machine, they're having a hard time is because of the problem with 13th gen and 14th gen. They kind of screwed things up for themselves by putting out those processors, those CPU processors, being damaged. Instead of catching the damage, fixing the problem before they sent them out, which they should have did a quality control check, which they didn't, and they just sent them out anyway. So, looking at that, they screwed themselves. And they're hoping that these new CPUs are going to make up for the difference of the problem that they had. And everybody's hoping that these new CPUs don't have the same problem that 13th and 14th gen had. But now, the 13th and 14th gen was made in their foundry. This is the catch. TSMC is making the new processors for Intel. Intel's not making their CPU processors anymore. TSMC is. So there's no more liability when it comes to the new CPUs coming out, and they're hoping everybody understands that now they got a different company making their CPUs, that everybody knows TSMC is not going to screw it up. So the reliability is going to be there, but everybody's worried about the restrictions that's going to be on the voltage and on the wattage, and that they're going to be putting on this. But as far as with LN2, the coolant of, using a very chilling coolant to, overclock your CPU, they're going to have a provision on the motherboards that's going to allow you to uncouple the power restraints, but only if the CPU's below 10 degrees Celsius. Okay, on your Intel processor, if it's below 10 degrees Celsius, it's going to allow you to max voltage and max everything on that CPU. But if your CPU is not below 10 degrees Celsius, it's not going to allow you to overclock it. So, that's some things that I found out this week when it comes to the Intel CPUs. Okay. Even though that, with AMD, they already have a provision in there for LN2. If you didn't know that inside the BIOS, they have a revision, they have an unlocking version for the LN2. So, basically, AMD has already had it. No, anything above 10 degrees Celsius, it's not the processor is not going to allow you to overclock. It's only going to go to base clocks. It's only going to allow you to stay at the base clock. So you go below the 10 degrees C, then it's going to allow you to go to the max clocks. The max of whatever that processor puts out is going to give you for an overclock. So, it is what it is. This is what Intel's putting in as a provision, and there's nothing that the motherboard manufacturers can do about this provision. They can't use this provision for, baseline out-of-the-box experience. They have to use the base clock for the out-of-box experience. Motherboard manufacturers are now restricted. Now they have to follow the rules of Intel. So, TSMC is worth 615 billion, and Nvidia is worth 3.15 trillion. But if something were to happen to TSMC, I think it would be way worse for the world economy. Well, Machine, let me make you understand something. The U.S. government has put in a provision to give discounts to chip makers to start making chips over here in the United States, to open up a factory for chip making. So they put in a provision of $8 billion, I think, for them to start chip manufacturing over here in the United States, which Intel's already taken them up on it. So to keep it above 10 degrees on the computer has to be tuned on all the time, have a cheap cooler. Yeah. But you're only going to allow, there's only 3 different kinds of overclocking that you're going to be doing on Intel. Undervolting, your normal base clock, and your advanced overclock. Okay. 3 things. And then you got your 4th thing, which is the LN2, which your processor has to be below a certain temperature in order for it to work for the new Intel processors. So they kind of locked everything out from everybody. Unless you're using a coolant that's bringing it below 0 degrees, basically, you're not going to be able to get the full feature of overclock where everything's unlocked, like 13th and 14th gen, where everything was unlocked. You're not going to be able to get that anymore. So that's been resolved. That's been resolved on 13 and 14th gen. As far as I know, that 80% of the people having problems with their CPUs for 13th and 14th gen has been resolved. So Intel's working on finishing up the 20% that's, the mess that they have to fix, costing them over 20 or 30 billion dollars, somewhere in there. So I do not heat my room. I am so hot, I walked through the building myself. It's 22°C here in Kentucky right now. Yeah, and it's about 70, 75, 80 degrees here now, so that's cool. Not an LN2 guy here, long as it keeps existing. 61.6 Fahrenheit and 22°C. Well, I'm not neither. Maybe, look, maybe one day I will become an LN2 guy. Okay? But right now, I don't foresee it. But I do foresee, now, I do foresee that game that Dakota sent me. That was the next thing I was going to talk to you guys about. Was that. So I'm going to hit the play button on it. Oh, Lordy. Let's see. Got to put the mute on the sound. So that way. Let's see. Let's pull you guys back to the action screen. This was the game that he sent to me, guys. So, don't do it. That is what I was looking like when I get up and work for work. Yeah. This is the game that Dakota sent me. He sent me the codes on this game to check it out. So I'm going to take you guys along with me on the story mode. I'm going to take you guys along with me really quick. Yeah, I'm checking it out. I mean, he sent it to me, so yeah, I'm checking it out for sure. Oh. I brought you guys to the beginning of this. Holy jeez. Now this right here, I'm going to have a little bit of a hard time. I guess I didn't get it. Oh, Lordy. Oh, he splatted somebody. I splatted somebody, guys. See how many I can splat. Oh, yeah. Crouch. E to insert with objects, people. Okay. So I guess we gotta hit E. How am I doing so far? What do you guys think? Oh, I forgot. Huh. I guess I better start moving forward. Oh, jeez. I guess that's not the way I need to go. Why am I in crouch mode? We can get out of crouch mode, dude. I guess she was supposed to talk. Speed run it. I don't have 6x RAM. I wish I did, but hopefully someday. LCD screen for ammunition. Very smart. Yep. Speed run it. Well, hell, she's got lines. Let me get some of them lines. I guess she was trying to tell me something. R for reload, 99% GPU load, sure thing. Its rays are traced and accelerated. Actually, no, ray tracing's not on. This is rasterization itself. Well, I didn't mess up the bed. That's her fault. So, I mean, looks like a GPU bottleneck to me. No, it's not bottlenecking. Or the limit is like to 90 FPS. No, bro. Right now, you can see the FPS is over 200 FPS. There is no bottleneck. Not with the frame time less than 10 milliseconds, which is only like 4 to 5 milliseconds so far. So it's not bottlenecking. She's hotter than the characters in Sweet Baby Inc. Latest AAA supported title, Unknown 9 Awakening. Nice lineup, yeah. Hello there, AI. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome to the channel. Joker made a video long ago how to line stuff up properly. Yeah. I guess I need to start walking. But I'm not getting bad FPS. I'm not getting bad FPS at all. The 0.1% lows are kind of low, but I know why. not balanced out yet. I wish they would use arrow keys. Let me look through the house. I'm looking through the house. No, it ain't my mom. You would not put a baseball bat against the door frame like that. You would have heaven down. What is with the 70s wallpaper? I don't know. This is the first time I'm playing this, so I have no idea. I gotta see what's up with this. Cheap. Look at that. Live, love, cluck. That's sick. What do you want? What do you want? Dude, she got some lines on her face like she's an old lady. Look at that. And she's wearing a hearing aid too. Look. Look. She's wearing a hearing aid. Oh my God. Really? She's wearing a hearing aid. Oh my God. MILF, man, I love it. Furries. Nice kitchen. Wallpaper in the kitchen is a bad idea. Yeah. I guess that would be. I mean, let's see if I can get out the house. God damn, you can't even get out the house. They locked you in. Can't get in there. What if I got to use the bathroom or something? Oh, man. That's a bad picture. This is starting to look like the Brady family house. Ancient TV. That's an old LCD TV. Hey, you got pears there. Let me turn this FPS thing off. Let's see, this note says, "Hello, sweetheart." Okay, now I'm sweetheart. I would have been nice if you have come downstairs and say goodbye to your father. My father's dead. And I before we left. We hope you know we love you very much. But we can't keep supporting you. Uh-oh, here it comes. If you're just gonna sit around playing video games all day. What do you think we do here on YouTube? Hello, wake up, smell the coffee. You should follow Lizzie's example. She's already got accepted into 3 great schools. I'm well over school, but anyway. I really hope you can get your act together. Why don't you figure out a plan before we get back? ? Love, Mom. I don't know what y'all think, but I don't think Mom's thinking in my book. Now, how do you get rid of the note? Oh, there, we got rid of the note. Mom's got a twisted tampon. What other clues am I looking for? Look at that. Hey, that, you know who that looks like, right? Can't get out that door. Can't get out that door. Microwave has nothing to do with it. Okay. Oh, she's gone. Hey, how'd she get... Oh, she got out of the house. I had to read the note first, I guess. Uh-oh. This is getting interesting, don't you guys think? No one writes notes anymore. she should have texted it to you and used Discord. True, machine, true. You're the black sheep of the family. Yep. I'm not a fan of voicemails. Text is fine, at least for me. True, MTBK. Your computer chair is the only thing that matters. Yep. Gaming bed. Yeah. Well, what is she doing over here? Uh-oh. I don't think we all want to be over there. Wow, the car's shaking too. Hey, look at that. I got me a cool whipple gun. Hey, let me go zap Sist. Let me go over here and zap Sister. Come here, let me zap you. Hold on, sis. Let me zap you. It won't let me zap her. Damn. Damn. Stupid. Okay, so what do I do now? I just blow everything up. I'll take that too. Oh yeah. Oh, it won't let me out now. Hell, how do you get out of here? I know, you guys, be patient. I'm trying to learn this. Guess I got no other choice. Let me go kill these guys. Get out of the bush. I'm exploring. Damn, he can't jump high enough. Well, what am I missing? Oh. I'm coming for you, dude. Come on. Alrighty. This looks like it got really interesting. Now it looks like I gotta go behind the building. Oh, that's splatted. Well, can't do that. Oh well. I'm gonna run and go in the house with sister. It looks like she's all messed up. Well, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm back in the house. Am I supposed to go back upstairs? I don't know, guys. I'm confused with this. So, okay. Enough fun for the day. We're going to get out of the steam. Alrighty. That was fun. That was, I don't know. I was confused. So, let's see. Deja Vu Skippy from CP2077. Yeah. All the time, it's even known when you speed run. What's your FPS? My FPS was ranging between 150 and 200, and I would say 207, 208 FPS. Wasn't too bad. Go play video games, still have power, so it's all good. Folks, welcome to the channel. Okay, guys, I did that because some people were asking me, how come I don't play games on the live stream? I did. So that way y'all can see that I do play the games. That one's a little interesting. So maybe next week I'll do a follow-up on it. So, but I don't want to bog the channel down too much with just, like doing games and, when we're trying to get the news out and stuff like that. But I figured that would be a little bit fun for you all for, just to check it out. Since one of my loyal subscribers sent me the codes for the game, I figured I'd try it out. But do understand that game takes 100 gigabytes of storage space. It takes about 117 gigs of storage space. It is quite an interesting game, yes. So, question, if you have a 650 hertz monitor and running 150 plus FPS, how do you not have screen tearing? I don't run a 650 hertz monitor. My monitor is only 60 hertz. That's it. Not 650. It's only 60 hertz. And yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. The way I have everything balanced, it's not going to have screen tearing. This is 1080p, bro. You have to understand that. 1080p, you shouldn't have screen tearing. Not unless you jack your display settings up so high that it bombards the pixelization onto the screen, causing it to do tearing. But I don't jack mine up like that. I run it just as is. Some of the games that you play have an auto setting that it automatically sets it to the max of your GPU. That's what you should be using. Now, if you're getting screen tearing and everything else, that's usually by pushing the graphics more than what your monitor can support. So if you're pushing over the amount of the support of your monitor, then yeah, you're going to get screen tearing. That's fine. That's fine, machine. I mean, but you have to look at it like this. If you balance out the signaling coming from your GPU to your monitor, and you don't push it to where you're just blasting extra pixels onto your screen that's not needed. You don't want hesitation. You don't want stuttering, hesitations. You don't want artifacting. You want to push it just normally. And believe it or not, the RTX 4070 is not a bad card. It has overclocking capability, which on the GPU itself is already overclocked. So I don't need to use any overclocking material or program to push it any further. The further that I push it, the more you would see screen tearing. But the way I got it balanced, you're not going to see that. You're not going to see the screen tearing. I lock my FPS at my monitor's hertz, which is 165. Well, degaussing your monitor has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with your... See, people get it wrong. The hertz on your monitor has nothing to do with your FPS. This is where everybody gets it wrong. has nothing to do with your FPS. Your FPS is based upon your CPU and your GPU. Okay? Older monitors, it's not based on the signaling coming out from the monitor that balances your FPS. Your FPS is balanced between your CPU and your GPU, not your monitor. Now, the newer monitors, to where they can lower latency going from your GPU to your monitor, that will shine a little bit of different light on your GPU, because now your GPU is working less to push more signal to your monitor. But understand, the signal rate going from my GPU to my monitor is 2.1. Some of them got 1.8 going for HDMI, going 1.8. Mine's coming out at 2.1 for the HDMI signal. So, makes a big difference. I was happy with my 4070 for sure. I do miss it. Yeah, I mean, I'm keeping mine. 2 frames are displayed at the same time, at least partly. So the old and the next frame are visible. Chatbot says to update drivers and match FPS with the monitor's refresh rate. Bingo. Mine's already matched. I don't have that to worry about. PC Games Hardware recommends to set the game frame rate 2 FPS lower than the monitor's refresh rate. Not necessarily true. I'm going to beg to differ with you. The hertz on your monitor has nothing to do with your FPS. It's for your textures. It has something to deal with your textures. How the balancing of your textures are on your monitor gives it a better degauss rate. Okay, the higher you go, gives you a better degauss rate. But with your monitor having 60 hertz coming, you plugging your TV into an outlet that's 110 volts, 60 hertz, you're matching the 60 hertz with the 60 hertz on the monitor. So 60 with 60 gives you 1. So that's how you balance it. Now, if you want to run, and they used to have this on the old CRTs, okay, to where you can run up to 120 hertz on some of them. But running 120 hertz makes more pixelization, more problems with, the picture itself, other than just running it at 60 hertz and leaving it alone. You run it at 60 hertz, has nothing to do with your FPS, and you can see my FPS got up over 200 plus. Sometimes, it goes well beyond 200. So, does that mean my monitor's hindering my GPU at 60 hertz or 60 FPS? No, you don't see my FPS at 60. So, that's the whole point. If I have a 60 hertz monitor, do you see my FPS at 60 hertz or 60 FPS? No, you don't. That would make sense if your monitor controls your FPS. Your monitor does not control your FPS. Get that out of your mind. It has nothing to do with that. It controls the textures. That's all it controls. The pixelization and the textures. That's it. It does not control your FPS. Everybody gets this in their mind that, you got to have 250 hertz in order to get 250 FPS. No, that's bogus. It's not true. Now, the newest monitors that they got have some way to, there's different kind of communication. To where now it does control a little bit of your FPS. Now they found a way to do it, but older monitors, no. It depends on the game and the settings. If the screen tearing is a thing, and it's also disturbing for a shooter, no problem. But in Detroit becomes human, it looks awful. Well, that it does. But thing is this: I'm not disappointed in 60 hertz. I don't need any more than that because it looks good to me. It might not look good for you guys because you guys might have a different kind of taste in monitors. Now, I can see if you're running 1440p, yeah, maybe you want to run 120 hertz if you're running 1440p. I can understand that. Or if you're running 4K, you might want to do like 240 hertz. That's understandable. But when you're running 1080p, you don't need no more than 60 hertz. Simple. So why would you need a higher hertz monitor? You don't. See, that's where everybody gets it wrong. You don't need, and I keep bringing this up, and I'm going to keep bringing it up. You don't. If you're running 1080p, you don't need a higher hertz. It's basically like running CRT all over again. Most of your monitors in balanced, run 60 hertz. Now, it's because everybody thinks that, oh, I want a higher refresh rate and everything else, I need to be at a higher hertz. Still not true. Higher refresh rate balances between the amount of signal coming through the cable going to the TV or the monitor. See, if you got a low signal going from your GPU to your monitor, don't expect it to run any faster. That's not going to change the amount. Even if you use a higher hertz, it's still not going to change the refresh rate. The refresh rate, I think it's an IPS kind of thing, to where the monitor has a faster refresh rate, no matter what hertz it's at, still give you a better signal. See, my goal is for FPS, for most games, around 120 FPS. Well, I get that now. I don't have a problem with it. It looks a little smoother even if the game FPS stays the same. I tested this with my own eyes in League of Legends. Okay. But you have to remember, everybody's computer is different. There is no computer exactly the same. No computer is exactly the same. Even down to the milliseconds or the nanoseconds. Even if you have two of the same CPUs, they're still not the same. They're still within a half of nanosecond different from each other, or even 1 nanosecond different than each other. So have to understand, no computer is the same. You can build two of the same computers, but you can have one faster than the other. So no matter which way you cut it, that's just the way it is. Yeah, my problem is my brain. But guys, come on. I run 1080p at 60 hertz for a reason. One is because of my eyes. Two is because I have what they call, epilepsy. I have to run it this way. If I go to run 1440p or 4K, what'll happen is too much flashing in my eyes. I'll be out flipping on the floor. So 1080p seems to work for me. You know, everybody has their preference. Everybody has their preference. I just want to make you guys understand I have a health problem that I have to deal with in order to play video games on my PC. So, just as long as you guys understand there is a reason, but I know some people will say to me, well, why don't you try 1440p? I don't feel that paying $300 and some dollars. I know you guys say it's cheaper than that now, but around $300 just to for say for 1440p or 4K, that's a little expensive. Especially when I can get two monitors for $200 brand new and get a 5-year warranty. Where are you going to go wrong with that? And I'm going to say it. I got mine from Walmart. Both of these monitors here I got from Walmart. And yeah, if you do your shopping right, and now you can go to Walmart and probably get 4K monitors for, was it $250? Maybe. So I am going to look into that too. I mean, I could always back everything down to 1080p, but yet, you know, sometimes I know you guys say, well, you know, you should have a variety. You should have a 4K monitor that can go down to 1440p, that can do 1080p, that does it all. 1440p. Yeah, but it's 27 inch, bro. That's the thing. It's 27 inch. I checked out Discord, but I like the 36-inch TVs. Don't get me wrong, you know, I know 27-inch is the new normal for everybody, but with my eyes and everything else, I got to use at least a 36-inch TV monitor, either or. So, I know 27 would be better, but I'd rather use a TV that's between 36 and 40 inches. Even though that's sitting right here. I mean, you can see my hand. Here's the TV and here's my eyeballs. I mean, I even got this monitor here too. Ugh. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with this one yet. This one is super thin. It's only like a half-inch. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's see. Well, it seems that my stream froze. Hold still. Alrighty, long as I'm good. I had I don't know why YouTube does that. I mean, it seems like it's once in a blue moon that it freezes. Oh man. But anyway, I just want to say something really quick. It looks like Nvidia is going to be bringing out their lineup of GPUs, the 50 series, at CES. I'm not sure if it's going to be a paper launch or if it's going to be an actual launch. Everybody thinks it's going to be a paper launch. So, I don't know what y'all think about that, but I'm thinking it might be a paper launch. That's just my opinion. But everybody knows that everybody's waiting on Intel to launch their CPUs. And then after that, AMD is going to launch the 9800 X3D. But I'm hearing they're going to launch it in China. They got an event that's going to be coming up in China. They're going to preview the 9800 X3D over there. But for some reason, they're not doing it over here. For some reason. I am taking CES week off from work to watch. I'm going to try to cover much of it as I can. You know, here, I would cover it. What is it at Las Vegas? I'm not sure. I'm thinking. I think they said it's at Las Vegas. Unless I'm wrong. Or if it's over in Taiwan. We never know. But the thing is this. If I had a way to go there and do it live, I would do it live with you all and go through all these vendors and everything else and show you guys the whole 900 yards. But that's more or less like a $10,000 to $12,000 trip. And that's kind of cash I don't keep lying around. So we'll have to rely on what we find out on the inner tube. The U-boob, or whatever you want to call it. If AMD was smart, they would launch the 8800 XT before the holidays to get a head start on Nvidia. Well, yeah and no. I agree, but I disagree. I'm going to tell you why. I'm getting leaks and reports about the 8800 XT. They're saying it's like basically an upgrade from the 6950 XT. So, the only difference is you're going to be getting an upgraded GPU processor on it. You're going to be getting upgraded software on it. Because AMD relies heavily on the software controlling the hardware. So the way it used to work is Nvidia was more hardware than software. And AMD was more software than hardware. So, if I win the lotto, I will sponsor you, Jay. Bro, even though when it comes to trips like that, if it's overseas, I'm not going. The reason why I'm not going is because of all the ruckus that's going on overseas. That's the last place I want to be. Last place. Now, if it was like Las Vegas, then that might be a different story. But that's expensive. That's really expensive. And there's no way I would ever ask any one of my subscribers to shell out that kind of money to have me go over there. No, I would never ask that. That I would never ask. 6950 XT is a 4070 Ti, right? No, actually, A 6950 XT would be equal to a 4070 Super. That would be close to a 4070 Super, not a 4070 Ti. If they sell it for 500, won't it be a good deal? Well, they already have sold that for like $529 back a few months ago, but nobody ever took anybody up on it. Now I think they're like $575. The lowest I seen was $575. From back a couple months ago being at $529. They're running it at the same price as the 4070, the RTX 4070. And that was down to $529 back a couple months ago. The 8800, there's talk about it being between $550 and $600, bro. That's the talk. Between $550 and $600 for the 8800 XT. But for the 5070, they're talking $700 with 12 gigabytes of VRAM. So it's going to be $100 more than the 4070 MSRP. No, not necessarily true. Not necessarily true. Not when they're now selling some of the 6950 XTs for close to $700. Some people jacked up the price and trying to sell them for $700. So basically, right now is a bad time to buy a GPU. Is because now you got the new one's going to be coming out before next year. They know the holidays are coming right around the corner. You got Halloween coming around the corner, and you got Thanksgiving, and then you got Christmas, and you got New Year's. You got all these holidays coming up around the corner. So, unless you get like a Cyber Monday or a Friday special deal, then Black Friday, then basically from now until January, you're not going to get a great deal on a GPU. There are some that sit stagnant at the same price, but as far as lower prices, no. I've already looked. I did Graphics Card Nightmare yesterday. And the prices are going up. I have like 1,000 saved for a new GPU. Well, if it was me, I would wait until late January, early February before you decide to buy a new one again. If it was me. For the simple fact that the prices, when the new stuff comes out, the older stuff, the prices are going to go down again. It's like this. It's like a yo-yo. So when the new stuff comes out, it's going to hit the peak, and then the older stuff is going to go down. Maybe 2 weeks after the new stuff comes out. It's because now it's doing a shift. It's balancing. So, I would suggest to wait. But from now until January, prices are going to be skyrocketing through the roof. So, I am not making the 4070 Super mistake again. Okay, well, that's fine. That's fine. But I will tell you this, there's two decisions that need to be made. One, that if, like they did the 4080 Super, $999, You get the 4080 that was $1,200, but they put out the 4080 Super for $999. Hopefully that the 5080 that they're going to be putting out is going to be at the same price, $999. So you might have a better shot to get a 5080 if they put it out for $999, if they put it out with 24 gigabytes of VRAM. That might be a better deal. That means it's going to blow away the 4090. The 4090 and the 4090D. So if the 5080 comes out at $999 with 24 gigabytes of VRAM or 28 gigabytes of VRAM, that might be a better deal. So, just to let you know that. No, I wouldn't think so because it's only drawing 450 watts. And your motherboard's not going to be drawing 400 watts. You might draw it up to 650 total. But I don't see you blowing your 850 watt PSU. I even know that, bro. That's the reason why you got an 850 watt PSU. Now the 4080 should be able to handle, or 5080 should be able to handle on that power supply. Yeah, that is true. I mean, I'm on a 750 watt power supply. I can go up to 1,000 watt anytime. But I found that for longevity and everything else, 750 watts has lasted me this long. Especially running an RTX 4070 with an AM4 motherboard and an AM4 CPU. I don't have a problem with that. I fell in love with some motorcycles. So there are no plans to buy an RTX 5080. Yeah, well, some people got plans, some people don't. Look, if I had a way and saved up a little bit on this, I was hoping that they would have done the 5090, not the 5090D, but this seems like the 5090D is coming out first, other than the 5090. So there's a difference between the two, but they're going to try to sell the 5090D at $1,800. $1,800 to $2,000. And they're going to sell the 5090 itself for $2,500. You think I'm going to spend $2,500 on a graphics card? Hell no. $2,500 to get me another used car. Why am I going to spend that much on a graphics card when I can buy a used car for that? Not gonna. My biggest mark is $600 or less. Just like the average consumer out there, $600 or less. Because spending $100 on a game that I can't even play, even if you got the newest crap, that I couldn't play in decent nature. No matter if you have the best of the best stuff in the world. Some of these newer games, you can play it, but it's not as good as having the full blown of the game off of your systems. It just doesn't work for me like that. If my PC is going to be restricted because the game requires better hardware, which if you got a 5090 with the 9800 X3D and an 800 series motherboard, and you're running at 8,000 microtransfers on the system RAM, and you're running 10,000 reads and writes on your SSD, and you still can't keep up with the game, there's a problem. So, there is a problem if you can't keep up. There are some people that are running that fast, and they're using Intel processors. The only one that loads up to that high on the system RAM is Intel. It loads up to 8,000 microtransfers. So, but AMD doesn't. It goes to 7,400. So, and if you still got to reduce the game just in order for it to look good, there's a problem. So, playable if they pay me $5,000 for 3 months playing this, but it doesn't match anyone's business model. Bro, if you got to spend $100 on a game that you can barely play, then the problem's with the developers of the game. They should have made it more unilateral to older PCs as well as newer. It seems that they're bringing the restrictions to mid-level to high-level PCs, but if you got a mid-level PC like mine's mid-level, I'm still restricted by the amount of textures and everything I can do with my GPU, because newest games got those newer engines, and it just makes no sense to play them because I'm not going to have fun with it, especially if the textures and everything look like crap on the game and you're fighting with your PC to get it to look good. It's not worth the aggravation. I'd rather play the older games. Simple put. I'd rather play the older games. And on Steam, you got a bunch of free games. So I would rather play the free games. Might be a little bit lower in textures and everything, but they're still fun. Not unless you're playing Facebook and you're playing, what do you call it? What do you call that on Facebook? Farmville. You know. Modifying the game settings is fine with me, but the game itself is not meant for me. No love at first sight. True. I mean, there isn't no love at first sight. If the game has to be modified and dumbed down because your PC can't handle, and there's PCs out there that are the best of the best of the best, that are $30,000, that still can't handle these newest games to the 100% mark. To 100% of the game, those PCs being $30,000 still can't handle the game. So, Facebook bingo, yep. How well do you think the 5090 will run OnlyFans? Well, let me put it to you this way. The 9800 X3D is not enough CPU to run the 5090. Remember, the CPU processing power has to be enough to handle the GPU. So I don't think even that's enough to handle the 5090. Daniel Owens said, "Oh my God, the school teacher." Yeah, what'd he say? He said, It is fine even if it's reduced settings and the graphics are good. Can't blame the developers to have very demanding settings unlocked. Well, can blame the developers for the fact of not following the trend of keeping higher demand games for hardware that's out there that's not even supportive. So basically, telling you like this, you have a $30,000 PC that can't even keep up with the game. That's kind of pushing it too far. Unless you got the hardware and software to support the game, you might as well not play the game. They're kind of cutting themselves at the neck. Is basically everybody's going to turn away and they're going to shy away from the game. That's what you don't want being a game developer, is to push the game so far up that nobody can reach it. That's ridiculous, I think. In my book, that's ridiculous. They release a console that can play N64 games with in a couple days for $250. Well, if they do, they do. That's Nintendo. But you have to remember, like the Nintendo 64, all these console games, the one thing they're not designed to do, unless they start adding that into the software of the games, is scrolling the internet. They can't do what PCs do. PCs are more high demanding when it comes to processing power than the Nintendo is, or the PlayStation 5, or the Xbox, whatever. So those are consoles that are designed just to play games and have direct connection to the cloud for, the companies. That's how companies make sales. When it comes to the games, they sell it to you online, you keep it in a cloud, and nothing that you can download to your PC, unless it physically comes off of a disk to put into your PC and load onto the hard drive. So, but basically when you buy games, just like Steam, everything is on the cloud. Part of the game is on your computer, but that's just for textures and stuff. But most of the game is loaded into the cloud, so you don't have 100% of the game. If you did, each Steam game would wipe out your solid state drive. It would completely wipe it out because that's how large the game is. So, as long as y'all understood that, for the simple fact that online games are becoming more demanding of how much hard drive space it needs to operate onto, for you to operate the game on their site. Unless you go with GeForce Now with Nvidia, which their games stay 95% on the server and you're only loading the app to log into the game. That's the way they used to have it, but now Steam is incorporating half the game into your PC. Half the game into your PC. So, it's expensive. It's expensive when you're MW6 takes 300 gigabytes of space. No, thank you. Well, that game I just showed you guys, you know how much it takes of my solid state drive? 117 gigabytes of hard drive space. That one game that I was playing took 117 gigabytes. I only have enough space for one more game. That's it. And then my solid state drive is tapped out. I can't use any more on that drive. Modern Warfare, yeah. I'll tell you, it's nuts. I mean, it's crazy. If I were to take and take Steam completely out of my PC, I would have close to maybe 4 terabytes of freed up space. That's how much it uses right now, and that's how much, how much I use for gaming alone is about 4 terabytes of space. So it's expensive. It's expensive to have that much space used up just by games alone. Now, and this is the bad part, all the videos I put onto YouTube only take up 2.5 terabytes so far of space. That's it, 2.5 terabytes. So my games take up more space than my videos. That's bad. It's nuts. It's crazy, but it happens. It's the way it is. But like I said, Nvidia is going to come out with their new GPUs, and then you got AMD that's going to come out with theirs. And AMD doesn't seem like they're going to have anything more than the 8800 XT. Unless they're just dribbling them out one by one. They might be doing that too. They might dribble them out one at a time and say, we're done. So, if they're just slowly dribbling them out one at a time, they might do that for 6 months or 8 months next year. But as far as a high-end graphics card, it's looking like $2,500 is the new normal. And that's just my opinion on when you go to buy a high-end graphics card. It's going to be around $2,500. It's sick. It's stupid and sick at the same time. Spending $2,500 on a graphics card. They might as well give you a $1 million Grace Hopper, the whole platform, and say, hey, shove that into your PC. So that's a graphics card, one that you don't have to worry about for the next 5 to 10 years. But even though you don't need a big graphics card to play games, you just need a graphics card to play games. So mid-level to a lower level graphics card work fine. Now, if you're having a problem with the just take a Game Boy, yeah. You can get away with it, taking a Game Boy and be done with it. Other than buying a $500 to $700 PlayStation, which you can build a computer for less than $700 still, long as the AM4 platform is there, or even a little bit of the AM5 platform you could get away with and start your journey there. But if you're going to build yourself a decent computer, the motherboard, the system RAM alone, that's going to cost you $500 just with those two pieces. Now with a decent CPU for that motherboard, that's going to cost you another $500-$600. So you're looking at $1,100 just with those three pieces alone. Now, if you want a decent solid state drive like 4 terabytes, then you're going to spend another $200 or $300 there. So you're looking at $1,500 just with those pieces alone. Now, to get yourself, let's say, an AIO cooler, which you can pick them up for $50 to $60 all day long, the 360s. And to pick up a case, you can spend between $50 and $80. And to pick up a PSU power supply, you can spend between $70 to $90. And the graphics card, that's the most expensive thing. If you want the best of the best, you're going to spend between $300 and $2,500. So sometimes 4K is perfectly fine over here in Final Fantasy VII. Sometimes it's not. Yeah, I think 1080p is better overall. Even though that you get different reviewers and they say, "Oh yeah, 1080p's dead. Ain't nobody does 1080p anymore." That's bullshit. 64% of the world still uses 1080p. Do your own statistics. Go out there and put a big statistic board. What would you rather use? 1080p, 1440p, or 4K? And leave your comments. That's a good question for everybody that watches this video. What would you rather use? 1080p, 1440p, or 4K? And after the video gets done, you can leave it in the comment section on the video and let everybody know which one you would use, and then we can add it all up and see who's using 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. Simple. But my preference is 1080p to 1440p. 4K I don't see any use for the simple fact, if I want to run my computer like a dinosaur, that's about how fast 4K is running, like a dinosaur. Because it has a max at 60 FPS. No matter which way you look at it, you can try getting 200 to 300 FPS off of 4K, which the most I've seen it clock out at was about 187 FPS so far. Somebody might have seen more, but I've only seen it that far. So Andretti, good to see you. Good to see you. How much is it to install liquid cooling? I'm looking at a pre-built MSI gaming PC. You're looking between $500 and $1,000. If you're going to do it yourself and build it from scratch, you're looking at $500 to $1,000. That's what I hear. If you want a decent cooling, then you're going to spend that much. But if you're going to do like an AIO cooler, an all-in-one cooler, then I would do Thermalright. They have Thermalright coolers out there that are 360 millimeters that do really good on cooling. The Thermalright Elite version 2, I think, is a really good one. So that would be the one I would use to cool the CPU. The GPU, you could probably find something for the GPU as well, but I would just air cool the GPU and use an AIO cooler for the CPU. If you're just going to run it normally and not overclock it, then yeah, a 360 AIO cooler would do fine. I'm not I'm not I'm not the kind of person that's all for the overclock part. Undervolting, yes, but overclocking, no. I'm not that kind of Joe for that. Keep in mind the VRMs get more heat if there is no more CPU air cooler. That I'm going to disagree with MTBK because I'm running a 280 AIO cooler in mine. I'm using the airflow from the fans that are designed in the front of the case. That's sucking in the air and blowing it right up through the top of the ventilation for the case. So I have a positive airflow through the case hitting the motherboard. And my VRMs never reach over 50C. So there's a catch to everything. So for a water-cooled PC, I would have to spend more for the main board. Truthfully, water cooling, if you like doing it and you want a water-cooled PC, then, go for it. But it's going to be expensive. It's not cheap. It is not cheap. So you can go the cheap way, but you're not going to be happy with the cheap way because using all cheap parts, it's be the same thing as running an AIO cooler, an all-in-one cooler. So yeah, you have 5+ coolers. I had just 2 in mine, 1 in, 1 out. Yeah, well, actually, mine's got 6. It's got 3 in the front for intake, and it's got 3 in the back for exhaust. And it pulls it like in an angle going upwards and out. So it hits all the motherboard, pushing air along the motherboard, keeping it nice and cool. So I don't have a problem with mine. Yeah, just watch some videos about it, and any questions will be answered. Now, the one that does water cooling a lot is Jay's 2 Cents. You can go over and watch his videos. He does a lot of water cooling. Just to let you know. Me, I don't tap into the water cooling just yet because it's way too expensive for if I'm thinking like the consumer, the one that can't afford a lot. So I put myself in their shoes, and if they can't afford it, I know I can't afford it. So, but what it is affordable is one that's pre-built, like your all-in-one coolers. That's more affordable. If you want to keep like 32 to 40C on the temperature of your CPU, then you can get an AIO cooler that'll keep it that cool. So mine keeps mine right now. My 280 millimeter keeps my processor undervolted, which I undervolt mine, and it keeps it at 42C. It's continuous at 42C all day long. So I just don't think $500 to $1,000 on an AI water cooling system is feasible in today's market. If the prices come down and you can get, let's say you go on let's say you go on eBay and you pick out all your parts used. One thing you don't want to do is pick up a water cooling pump from eBay, because you're likely to get trash. So, that's just my opinion. But I know some people that got, a whole water cooling kit off of eBay for a couple $100. So, it's either you want to spend a couple $100 getting used, or you want to, spend like 55, $60 and call it a day and get yourself an AIO cooler. You can do that too. So, but that's just my opinion on that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to head and call it a day for right now. We got next week also too, we'll be doing this live next week again. Saturday, 12 noon, Pacific Standard Time, right here on the channel. So if you want to catch us then and get us right at the beginning, I start at about 11:45 to give YouTube enough time to load us in there, because it takes about 3 to 5 minutes now for some reason for YouTube to connect. And you're welcome, machine. You're welcome. So we'll always, every Saturday, 11:45, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Catch us there. It will be cool as always. Yeah, it has been fun too, MTBK. I do agree with you 100%. But anyway, guys, if this is your first time here and you're watching us live, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Put a like on the live video, which you can do. And make sure you turn on your notifications so you know when we post the next video. I'll tune in to the next live. I also subscribe. Thank you, Andretti, for subscribing. We do appreciate it. But until the next time in the next video, guys, you know it is, and we will see you on the next one.